In the heart of the Bronx, during the late 1960s and early 1970s, a cultural revolution was quietly brewing. The sounds of breakbeats, the sight of vibrant graffiti, and the energy of breakdancing were the seeds of what would soon grow into a global movement, hip-hop. It was within this dynamic environment that Lawrence Kris Parker, later known to the world as KRS-One, was born. The Bronx was a place of both struggle and creativity, where communities forged their identities amidst the challenges of poverty and urban decay. Kris grew up in a world where the streets were both a playground and a battlefield. His mother, a single parent, did her best to provide for her family, but the challenges were many. The young Kris was drawn to the emerging hip-hop culture, fascinated by the breakdancers he saw spinning on cardboard in the streets and the graffiti artists who turned blank walls into colorful canvases. These early encounters with hip-hop were not just hobbies for Kris, they were lifelines in a world that often felt harsh and unforgiving. However, life at home was tough. By the time Kris was in his early teens, he found himself homeless, living in shelters, and roaming the streets. Despite these hardships, or perhaps because of them, Kris developed a deep hunger for knowledge and self-improvement. He began to educate himself, spending countless hours in libraries devouring books on philosophy, religion, and history. This self-directed education would later become a cornerstone of his identity as the Teacha. As Kris navigated the streets of the Bronx, he encountered many of the harsh realities of urban life. Violence, drugs, and crime were constant threats. Yet, instead of succumbing to these pressures, Kris channeled his experiences into something greater. He began to see hip-hop as more than just a form of entertainment. It was a tool for social change, a way to voice the struggles and aspirations of his community. During this period, Kris's life was marked by a constant struggle for survival. The experience of being homeless left a profound impact on him, shaping his worldview and his approach to music. Living in shelters, he was exposed to the harshest aspects of urban poverty, but he also found camaraderie and support among others facing similar challenges. These experiences deepened his resolve to use his voice to speak out against injustice and to uplift those who were marginalized. Kris's time on the streets wasn't just about survival, it was a period of intense personal growth. He began writing poetry and lyrics, using them as a way to process his thoughts and experiences. His words were raw and powerful, reflecting the realities of his life and the lives of those around him. It was during this time that he began to develop the persona of KRS-One, a name that would soon become synonymous with conscious rap and social activism. The name KRS-One itself is an acronym for Knowledge Reigns Supreme Over Nearly Everyone, a reflection of Kris's belief in the power of knowledge and education. This belief would become a guiding principle throughout his career, as he sought to educate his listeners through his music, encouraging them to think critically about the world around them. KRS-One's entry into the hip-hop scene was not just about making music, it was about making a statement. He met DJ Scott La Rock while living in a shelter, and together they formed Boogie Down Productions (BDP). Their partnership was more than just a musical collaboration, it was a meeting of minds united by a shared vision of using hip-hop as a tool for social change. BDP's debut album, Criminal Minded, released in 1987, was a game-changer in the hip-hop world. The album's raw energy, coupled with its gritty depiction of street life, resonated with audiences and established KRS-One as a powerful new voice in the genre. But Criminal Minded was more than just a collection of songs, it was a manifesto, a declaration of intent from an artist who was determined to use his platform to address the issues affecting his community. The album's title track, Criminal Minded, showcased KRS-One's unique blend of hard-hitting lyrics and social commentary. He wasn't just rapping about the streets, he was analyzing them, breaking down the factors that led to crime and violence in urban communities. This approach set KRS-One apart from many of his contemporaries, marking him as a thinker as well as an entertainer. As KRS-One's career began to take off, so too did his philosophical explorations. He was deeply influenced by the teachings of Malcolm X, the Nation of Islam, and other figures who advocated for Black empowerment and self-reliance. These influences were evident in his lyrics, which often addressed issues of racism, inequality, and the need for social and political change. KRS-One began to view himself not just as a rapper, but as a teacher, a role he embraced wholeheartedly. He saw hip-hop as a form of education, a way to reach young people who might not be reached through traditional means. Through his music, he sought to inspire and uplift, encouraging his listeners to think critically and to take action to improve their lives and their communities. This philosophical approach to hip-hop would become a defining characteristic of KRS-One's career. He wasn't content to simply entertain, he wanted to educate, to provoke thought, and to inspire change. This commitment to using his music as a tool for social good would earn him the nickname the Teacha, a title that he continues to embody to this day. As the mid-1980s progressed, hip-hop was evolving rapidly. The genre was beginning to gain mainstream attention, but it was also becoming increasingly commercialized. Amidst this landscape, KRS-One and DJ Scott L.A. Rock were determined to bring something different to the table, something raw, real, and unapologetically true to the streets. Boogie Down Productions (BDP) was born out of this desire to keep hip-hop rooted in its original purpose to be a voice for the voiceless. BDP wasn't just a rap group, it was a movement. KRS-One and Scott L.A. Rock were on a mission to educate as much as they were to entertain. They saw hip-hop as a form of resistance, a way to fight back against the systemic oppression that plagued their communities. This mindset was evident in everything they did, from their lyrics to their public personas. The duo quickly made a name for themselves in the underground hip-hop scene. Their performances were electric, and their message resonated with audiences who were tired of the superficiality that was beginning to seep into the genre. KRS-One, with his booming voice and commanding stage presence, became known as the Blastmaster, a nickname that reflected his ability to dominate any stage he stepped onto. In 1987, Boogie Down Productions released their debut album, Criminal Minded, and it was immediately clear that this was something different. The album's gritty depiction of street life, combined with its innovative use of samples and hard-hitting beats, set it apart from anything else in hip-hop at the time. Tracks like South Bronx and The Bridge Is Over became anthems for those who saw themselves reflected in the album's stories of struggle and survival. Criminal Minded wasn't just another rap album, it was a cultural milestone. It captured the essence of the Bronx, the birthplace of hip-hop, in a way that few other albums had. KRS-One's lyrics were both a celebration of his roots and a critique of the forces that sought to exploit or destroy them. The album's title track, Criminal Minded, became iconic, not just for its musical innovation, but for its stark portrayal of the realities of life in the inner city. KRS-One's ability to blend storytelling with social commentary made him a standout figure in the hip-hop community. He wasn't just rapping about the streets, he was offering a deeper analysis of the conditions that created them. This approach resonated with listeners who were looking for more than just party music. They were looking for something that spoke to their lived experiences. As Boogie Down Productions' fame grew, so too did KRS-One's desire to use his platform for more than just entertainment. He began to delve deeper into philosophy, drawing on a wide range of influences, from the teachings of Malcolm X to the works of Plato and Nietzsche. He saw hip-hop as a modern-day version of the ancient philosophical schools, where knowledge and wisdom were passed down through oral tradition. This philosophical foundation was evident in KRS-One's lyrics, which often explored themes of knowledge, power, and self-determination. He wasn't content to simply describe the world as it was. He wanted to challenge his listeners to think critically about the world and their place in it. This approach set KRS-One apart from many of his contemporaries who were more focused on commercial success than on social impact. KRS-One's philosophy was grounded in the belief that knowledge is power. He saw education as the key to liberation, both on an individual and a collective level. This belief would become a central theme in his music as he sought to empower his listeners with the knowledge they needed to navigate the challenges of life in the inner city. Just as Boogie Down Productions was beginning to rise to prominence, tragedy struck. In August 1987, DJ Scott L.A. Rock was shot and killed while trying to mediate a dispute between two of his friends. The loss was devastating for KRS-One, both personally and professionally. Scott L.A. Rock had been more than just a collaborator, he was a mentor, a friend, and a brother. The death of Scott L.A. Rock marked a turning point in KRS-One's career. It was a harsh reminder of the violence that pervaded the very streets they were trying to uplift through their music. But rather than retreat into despair, KRS-One used the tragedy as fuel for his mission. He became even more determined to use his music as a tool for social change, to speak out against the violence that had claimed the life of his friend and so many others. After Scott L.A. Rock's death, many wondered if Boogie Down Productions would continue. But KRS-One was not ready to give up. He understood that the best way to honor his friend's memory was to keep pushing forward, to continue the work they had started together. The next BDP album, By All Means Necessary, was a testament to this resolve. Released in 1988, By All Means Necessary was a critical and commercial success. The album's cover, featuring KRS-One in a pose reminiscent of Malcolm X, holding an Uzi in one hand and looking out a window, sent a powerful message. This was an artist who was ready to defend his community by any means necessary. The album's lyrics reflected this militant stance, addressing issues like police brutality, racism, and self-defense. Tracks like My Philosophy and Stop the Violence showcased KRS-One's growth as an artist and as an activist. He was no longer just rapping about the streets, he was offering solutions, calling on his listeners to take control of their lives and their communities. The album solidified KRS-One's reputation as one of the leading voices in conscious rap, a subgenre that would come to define his career. With By All Means Necessary, KRS-One helped to pioneer the genre of conscious rap, a form of hip-hop that focuses on social, political, and cultural issues. Unlike the more commercially driven styles of rap that were becoming popular at the time, conscious rap was rooted in the idea that music could be a force for good, a way to educate and uplift. KRS-One's commitment to conscious rap was unwavering. He saw it as his duty to use his platform to speak out on behalf of those who were often ignored or marginalized. Whether he was addressing issues like police brutality, systemic racism, or economic inequality, KRS-One's message was always clear: hip-hop had the power to change the world. This commitment to conscious rap would become a defining characteristic of KRS-One's career. He wasn't interested in chasing commercial success or fame. His focus was always on the message. This dedication to his principles earned him the respect of his peers and the admiration of fans around the world. KRS-One had established himself not just as a rapper, but as a leader, a teacher, and a revolutionary. By the late 1980s, KRS-One had firmly established himself as a force to be reckoned with in the hip-hop world. Boogie Down Productions (BDP) was no longer just another rap group. It was a voice for the people, and KRS-One was its spokesperson. His unique blend of street knowledge and intellectual depth resonated with a wide audience, from those living in the inner cities to scholars who recognized the profound social commentary in his lyrics. However, the rise of BDP was not without its challenges. The tragic death of DJ Scott in L.A. Rock had a profound impact on KRS-One, both personally and professionally. Losing his close friend and collaborator was a harsh reminder of the violence that plagued the very communities he sought to uplift. This tragedy only deepened KRS-One's resolve to use his music as a tool for social change. The album By All Means Necessary, released in 1988, was KRS-One's response to this tragedy. The album cover, with KRS-One posing like Malcolm X holding an Uzi, was a powerful statement. It signaled a shift in his music and message. This was no longer just about making records, it was about survival, resistance, and empowerment. The album's themes of self-defense, social justice, and black empowerment struck a chord with listeners who were tired of the glamorization of violence in some parts of the hip-hop world. Tracks like My Philosophy became anthems for those seeking a deeper meaning in their music. KRS-One's lyrics encouraged his audience to think critically about the world around them, to question authority, and to seek knowledge as a means of empowerment. His influence extended beyond music. He became a thought leader, someone who could articulate the frustrations and aspirations of a generation. As KRS-One's influence grew, so did his desire to address the violence that was becoming increasingly prevalent in the hip-hop community. The loss of Scott in L.A. Rock was a pivotal moment for him, and he was determined to prevent others from experiencing similar tragedies. This determination led to the creation of the Stop the Violence movement, a project that would become one of KRS-One's most significant contributions to hip-hop culture. The Stop the Violence movement was born out of a deep concern for the direction hip-hop was taking. While the genre had always been a reflection of the realities of life in the inner city, KRS-One recognized that it was also beginning to perpetuate some of the very problems it sought to address, particularly when it came to violence. He saw an opportunity to use his platform to make a difference, to encourage his peers to think about the impact of their words and actions. The movement culminated in the release of the song Self-Destruction in 1989, a collaborative effort featuring some of the biggest names in hip-hop at the time, including Public Enemy, MC Lyte, and Doug E. Fresh. The song was a powerful call to action, urging the hip-hop community to come together to address the issue of violence. The lyrics spoke directly to the listeners, challenging them to break the cycle of violence and to take responsibility for their actions. Self-destruction was more than just a song, it was a statement of intent. It showed that hip-hop could be a force for good, a way to address the issues that were tearing communities apart. The success of the song and the movement demonstrated the power of collective action and the potential for hip-hop to be more than just entertainment. It could be a vehicle for change, for education, and for empowerment. The Stop the Violence movement marked a turning point not just in KRS-One's career, but in the history of hip-hop. It was one of the first times that the genre had been used explicitly as a tool for social activism, and it set the stage for future movements that would continue to use hip-hop as a means of addressing social and political issues. KRS-One's leadership in this movement solidified his reputation as the Teacha, a title that he embraced with pride. He understood that hip-hop was more than just music, it was a cultural force with the power to influence millions. By using his platform to advocate for peace and social justice, KRS-One was not just making music, he was making history. The movement also highlighted KRS-One's ability to bring people together. He had a unique talent for uniting artists from different backgrounds and styles around a common cause. This ability to bridge divides and foster collaboration would become one of the hallmarks of his career, as he continued to work with a diverse array of artists and activists to further his message of empowerment and social change. As the 1990s dawned, KRS-One continued to evolve both as an artist and as a thinker. His commitment to using hip-hop as a tool for education and social change led him to establish the Temple of Hip-Hop, an organization dedicated to preserving and promoting hip-hop as a culture and a way of life, rather than just a genre of music. The Temple of Hip-Hop was more than just a fan club or a community group, it was a movement. KRS-One envisioned it as a place where people could come together to learn about the history and philosophy of hip-hop, to engage in discussions about social and political issues, and to develop strategies for using hip-hop as a means of personal and community empowerment. Through the Temple of Hip-Hop, KRS-One sought to formalize the teachings he had been sharing through his music and public speaking. He developed a curriculum that covered everything from the history of hip-hop to its potential as a tool for social change. He also emphasized the importance of hip-hop's core principles: peace, love, unity, and having fun as guiding values for both the music and the culture. KRS-One's vision for the Temple of Hip-Hop was ambitious. He saw it as a global movement, one that could unite people from all walks of life around a shared love of hip-hop and a commitment to positive change. While the organization faced challenges, particularly in gaining mainstream recognition, it remains an important part of KRS-One's legacy, reflecting his lifelong commitment to using hip-hop as a force for good. The influence of KRS-One's philosophy extended far beyond the Temple of Hip-Hop. His teachings resonated with a new generation of artists who were inspired by his commitment to social justice and empowerment. These artists saw in KRS-One a model of what it meant to be a true hip-hop artist, someone who used their platform to uplift and inspire, rather than simply to entertain. KRS-One's impact on the hip-hop community was profound. He helped to shift the focus of the genre from materialism and violence to issues of social justice and empowerment. He encouraged his peers to think critically about the messages they were sending through their music, and he pushed the boundaries of what hip-hop could be. In doing so, he helped to create a space for conscious rap, a subgenre that continues to thrive today. As the 1990s progressed, KRS-One continued to build on the foundation he had laid with Boogie Down Productions, but he was ready to explore new creative avenues as a solo artist. The dissolution of BDP marked the beginning of a new chapter in his career, one where he could fully embrace his role as the Teacha and delve deeper into his mission to educate and inspire through hip-hop. In 1993, KRS-One released his first solo album, Return of the Boom Bap. The album was a return to the raw, stripped-down sound that had characterized his earlier work, but with an even sharper focus on lyrical content. KRS-One used the album as a platform to address a wide range of issues, from the commercialization of hip-hop to the ongoing struggles facing Black communities. Tracks like Sound of DA Police became anthems for those who saw the systemic oppression and police brutality that KRS-One so powerfully denounced. Sound of DA Police is particularly notable for its stark portrayal of the relationship between law enforcement and Black communities. The track's refrain, "Whoop whoop, that's the sound of DA Police," became an iconic rallying cry for those who felt the heavy hand of policing in their daily lives. The song was not just a critique of the police, it was a broader commentary on the history of oppression, drawing parallels between modern-day law enforcement and the overseers of the slave era. This ability to connect historical injustices with contemporary issues was a hallmark of KRS-One's work, solidifying his reputation as a socially conscious artist who wasn't afraid to speak truth to power. Return of the Boom Bap was a critical success and reaffirmed KRS-One's position as one of hip-hop's most important voices. It was followed by the 1995 album KRS-One, which further explored themes of social justice, self-empowerment, and the power of knowledge. The album included tracks like MCs Act Like They Don't Know and Rappers Are in Danger, which critiqued the commercialization of hip-hop and the loss of its original cultural and political purpose. KRS-One's solo work was not just about maintaining his presence in the hip-hop world, it was about continuing his mission to use music as a tool for education and empowerment. He saw himself as a bridge between the old school and the new school, someone who could remind younger artists and listeners of hip-hop's roots, while encouraging them to think critically about its future. As KRS-One's career progressed, he began to see hip-hop not just as a local or national phenomenon, but as a global movement. He recognized that the struggles and experiences he rapped about were not unique to the United States, they were shared by people around the world who were dealing with similar issues of poverty, oppression, and injustice. This realization led KRS-One to expand his reach beyond the borders of the United States. He began to tour internationally, bringing his message of peace, love, unity, and having fun to audiences in Europe, Africa, and beyond. Everywhere he went, he found that hip-hop had taken root as a powerful form of expression, a way for people to tell their stories and connect with others who shared their experiences. KRS-One's international work was not just about performing, it was about building connections and fostering a global community of hip-hop practitioners and fans. He saw hip-hop as a universal language, one that could transcend cultural and linguistic barriers to unite people around shared values and goals. Through his travels, KRS-One became a global ambassador for hip-hop, spreading its message and inspiring new generations of artists and activists. His global influence was further cemented with the release of his 1997 album I Got Next, which featured the hit single Step Into a World Rapture's Delight. The song was a celebration of hip-hop's history and culture, blending old-school beats with KRS-One's unmistakable flow. The album's success demonstrated that KRS-One was not just a local or national figure, he was a global icon, recognized and respected around the world for his contributions to hip-hop. Throughout the 1990s and into the 2000s, KRS-One continued to evolve both as an artist and as an educator. He released a steady stream of albums, each one reinforcing his commitment to using hip-hop as a tool for social change. But beyond his music, KRS-One also expanded his role as a public intellectual and thought leader, engaging in discussions about the future of hip-hop and its potential as a force for good. One of the ways KRS-One sought to formalize his teachings was through the Temple of Hip-Hop, which he founded in the mid-1990s. The Temple was not just an organization, it was a movement dedicated to preserving and promoting hip-hop as a culture and a way of life. Through the Temple, KRS-One sought to educate people about the history of hip-hop, its core principles, and its potential as a tool for social change. The Temple of Hip-Hop was based on the idea that hip-hop was more than just music, it was a holistic culture that encompassed knowledge, self-awareness, and social responsibility. KRS-One envisioned the Temple as a place where people could come together to learn, share ideas, and work towards a common goal of uplifting their communities through hip-hop. The Temple's teachings were rooted in the principles of peace, love, unity, and having fun, which KRS-One saw as the foundation of hip-hop culture. KRS-One's work with the Temple of Hip-Hop was an extension of his music, a way to take the lessons and philosophies he had been sharing through his lyrics and turn them into a structured curriculum. He published books, gave lectures, and engaged in discussions with artists, activists, and academics about the role of hip-hop in society. Through the Temple, KRS-One sought to ensure that hip-hop's legacy would be preserved for future generations, not just as a genre of music, but as a cultural movement with the power to change the world. As KRS-One entered the 2000s, his commitment to social justice remained as strong as ever. He continued to use his platform to speak out on issues of inequality, racism, and oppression, drawing connections between the struggles of the past and the challenges of the present. His music and activism were deeply intertwined, each informing the other as he worked to inspire change both on and off the stage. One of the key themes in KRS-One's later work was the idea of hip-hop as a means of resistance. He saw the genre as a way to fight back against the forces of oppression, to challenge the status quo, and to empower individuals and communities to take control of their destinies. This message was particularly resonant in the post-9/11 world, where issues of civil liberty, state surveillance, and social inequality were becoming increasingly prominent. KRS-One's later albums, such as Spiritual Minded 2002 and Keep Right 2004, continued to explore these themes, blending social commentary with spiritual and philosophical reflections. His music became more introspective, as he reflected on his own journey and the lessons he had learned along the way. But even as he delved deeper into these personal explorations, his commitment to social justice and activism remained at the forefront of his work. Through his music, his teachings, and his activism, KRS-One has left an indelible mark on hip-hop and on the broader cultural landscape. He has shown that hip-hop can be more than just entertainment. It can be a powerful tool for education, empowerment, and social change. His legacy as the Teacha is a testament to his lifelong commitment to using his voice to speak out on behalf of those who cannot, to challenge injustice, and to inspire others to do the same. As KRS-One transitioned into the later stages of his career, he remained as passionate and committed to hip-hop as ever. His solo career continued to flourish, with each album reflecting his ongoing evolution as an artist and a thinker. While many of his peers began to slow down or retire, KRS-One continued to produce music, lecture, and engage with the hip-hop community. For him, hip-hop was not just a phase or a career choice, it was a lifelong mission. One of the defining characteristics of KRS-One's later work was his ability to blend his music with his activism seamlessly. Albums like Life 2006 and Adventures in MCing 2008 showcased his continued commitment to using hip-hop as a platform for social change. These projects were more than just collections of songs, they were extensions of his philosophy, offering listeners a guide to navigating the complexities of modern life with knowledge, self-awareness, and a sense of purpose. KRS-One's lyrics remained as potent as ever, tackling issues like economic inequality, police brutality, and the commodification of hip-hop. Tracks such as Still Slippin' and The Real Hip-Hop Is Over Here reminded fans and critics alike that KRS-One had not lost his edge. If anything, his message had only grown more urgent with time. He used his platform to speak out against the forces that sought to dilute or exploit hip-hop culture, advocating for a return to the genre's roots as a voice for the oppressed and marginalized. While KRS-One's primary focus was always on his music, he also explored a variety of ventures outside of the studio that reflected his diverse interests and talents. He became an accomplished author, writing several books on hip-hop culture, philosophy, and education. His book Ruminations 2003 offered readers a deep dive into his thoughts on the state of hip-hop, spirituality, and the social issues of the day. It was part memoir, part manifesto, and it provided a rare glimpse into the mind of one of hip-hop's most influential figures. KRS-One's literary work extended beyond traditional publishing as well. He was a prolific speaker, delivering lectures and workshops at universities, conferences, and community centers around the world. His talks were known for their depth, blending history, philosophy, and personal experience into a cohesive narrative that challenged audiences to think critically about the world around them. Through these engagements, KRS-One continued his mission to educate and inspire, reaching new generations of listeners and thinkers. In addition to his writing and speaking, KRS-One also ventured into the world of education through the Temple of Hip-Hop. The Temple's mission was to preserve and promote hip-hop as a culture and a way of life, and KRS-One was its most vocal advocate. He envisioned the Temple as a place where people could come together to learn about the history and philosophy of hip-hop, to engage in discussions about social and political issues, and to develop strategies for using hip-hop as a tool for personal and community empowerment. KRS-One's work with the Temple of Hip-Hop was an extension of his lifelong commitment to education. He believed that knowledge was the key to empowerment, and he sought to provide people with the tools they needed to think critically about the world and their place in it. Whether through music, literature, or public speaking, KRS-One was always teaching, always challenging his audience to question the status quo and strive for something better. As KRS-One's career progressed, his influence on the hip-hop world only grew. He became a mentor to younger artists, many of whom looked up to him as a pioneer and a role model. His teachings on the importance of knowledge, self-awareness, and social responsibility resonated with a new generation of MCs who were eager to carry the torch of conscious rap. KRS-One's impact on hip-hop culture extended far beyond his music. He helped to shape the genre's direction, steering it away from materialism and violence and towards a more thoughtful, socially conscious approach. His insistence on the importance of education and empowerment influenced not just his contemporaries but also the broader hip-hop community, which began to see hip-hop as a tool for social change rather than just entertainment. One of the most significant aspects of KRS-One's legacy is his role in the development of conscious rap, a subgenre that continues to thrive today. Artists like Kendrick Lamar, J. Cole, and Talib Kweli have all cited KRS-One as an influence, and his teachings can be heard in their music. These artists like KRS-One use their platform to address social and political issues, to challenge their listeners to think critically, and to inspire positive change. KRS-One's influence is also evident in the way that hip-hop has been embraced as a global movement. The genre, which began as a form of expression for marginalized communities in the Bronx, has grown into a worldwide phenomenon, with millions of fans and practitioners across the globe. KRS-One's work in spreading hip-hop's message of peace, love, unity, and having fun has helped to shape this global movement, ensuring that the core values of hip-hop remain intact even as the genre continues to evolve. As KRS-One enters the later stages of his career, he remains as committed to hip-hop as ever. He continues to tour, to record new music, and to engage with fans and fellow artists. For KRS-One, hip-hop is not just a genre of music, it's a way of life, a philosophy, and a tool for social change. His legacy is not just in the albums he has released or the songs he has written, but in the lives he has touched, the minds he has inspired, and the culture he has helped to shape. KRS-One's journey from the streets of the Bronx to the global stage is a testament to the power of hip-hop. He has shown that hip-hop can be more than just entertainment. It can be a force for good, a way to educate, empower, and inspire. His legacy as the Teacha is a reflection of his lifelong commitment to these ideals, and it is a legacy that will continue to influence and inspire generations to come. As we look back on KRS-One's career, it is clear that his impact on hip-hop and on the broader cultural landscape is profound and enduring. He has not only left an indelible mark on the genre, but he has also helped to elevate it to new heights, pushing it beyond the confines of the music industry and into the realms of education, activism, and global culture. KRS-One's story is not just a story of one man's success, it is a story of hip-hop's potential to change the world. KRS-One's influence on the hip-hop community has been nothing short of transformative. As one of the genre's most outspoken advocates for conscious rap and social activism, he has inspired countless artists to use their music as a platform for change. Even as the commercial landscape of hip-hop has evolved, with many artists gravitating towards themes of wealth, fame, and success, KRS-One's teachings have remained a beacon for those who seek to push the boundaries of the genre beyond entertainment. One of the most significant ways KRS-One has influenced new generations is through his emphasis on the educational and cultural aspects of hip-hop. For him, hip-hop was always more than just a form of music. It was a culture, a way of life, and a means of expressing and addressing the issues facing marginalized communities. This philosophy has been passed down to artists like Kendrick Lamar, whose albums To Pimp a Butterfly and Damn explore complex social and political themes, and J. Cole, who often reflects on the struggles of growing up in poverty and the importance of staying true to oneself. These artists, along with many others, have embraced KRS-One's teachings, using their platforms to speak out on issues like racism, inequality, and mental health. They have continued the tradition of conscious rap, blending powerful lyrics with thoughtful social commentary and ensuring that the spirit of KRS-One's work lives on in the music of today. KRS-One's work with the Temple of Hip-Hop has played a crucial role in ensuring that the culture and philosophy of hip-hop are preserved for future generations. The Temple serves as a hub for education where individuals can learn about the history of hip-hop, its core principles, and its potential as a tool for social change. Through the Temple, KRS-One has created a space where the essence of hip-hop can be celebrated and passed down, free from the commercial pressures that often distort the genre's original intent. The Temple of Hip-Hop also serves as a reminder of the genre's roots in resistance and empowerment. By teaching the values of peace, love, unity, and having fun, the Temple reinforces the idea that hip-hop is not just about music or entertainment, it is about community, knowledge, and social responsibility. KRS-One's vision for the temple is one of a global movement, where hip-hop is recognized not just as a form of art, but as a cultural force that can inspire change and uplift people around the world. This commitment to preserving the culture of hip-hop has had a lasting impact on the genre. It has helped to create a space for artists who want to stay true to the roots of hip-hop, who see it as a means of expression and empowerment, rather than just a path to fame and fortune. The Temple of Hip-Hop continues to be a vital institution in the hip-hop community, ensuring that the values and principles that KRS-One has championed throughout his career are not forgotten. As KRS-One looks back on his career, it is clear that his impact on hip-hop and the broader cultural landscape is profound and enduring. From his early days with Boogie Down Productions to his solo career and his work with the Temple of Hip-Hop, KRS-One has consistently used his platform to educate, inspire, and challenge his audience. He has shown that hip-hop can be more than just entertainment. It can be a tool for social change, a way to address the issues facing marginalized communities, and a means of empowering individuals to take control of their lives. KRS-One's legacy is not just in the albums he has released or the songs he has written, but in the lives he has touched and the minds he has inspired. His work has influenced countless artists, activists, and fans who have taken his teachings to heart and used them to make a difference in their own communities. Whether through his music, his books, or his public speaking, KRS-One has consistently advocated for the power of knowledge, self-awareness, and social responsibility. In a genre that is often criticized for its focus on materialism and violence, KRS-One has stood as a beacon of hope and inspiration. He has reminded us that hip-hop is not just about making money or achieving fame. It is about using our voices to speak out on behalf of those who cannot, to challenge injustice, and to inspire positive change. His work has shown that hip-hop can be a force for good, and his legacy will continue to inspire future generations of artists and activists who see the potential of hip-hop to change the world. As we look to the future, it is clear that KRS-One's influence will continue to shape the hip-hop community for years to come. His teachings have laid the foundation for a new generation of artists who are committed to using their music as a platform for change, and his work with the Temple of Hip-Hop ensures that the cultural and educational aspects of the genre will be preserved for future generations. KRS-One's legacy is a testament to the power of hip-hop to inspire, educate, and empower. He has shown that one person, armed with knowledge and a microphone, can make a difference in the world. As long as there are artists who are willing to use their voices to speak out against injustice, to challenge the status quo, and to inspire positive change, the spirit of KRS-One will live on. In the end, KRS-One's story is not just the story of one man's journey, it is the story of hip-hop itself. It is the story of a culture that was born out of struggle, that rose up against the odds, and that continues to inspire and empower people around the world. And as long as there are people who believe in the power of hip-hop, KRS-One's legacy will continue to shine as a beacon of hope and inspiration for generations to come.